These are the lungs of a congested girl that shows up every Sunday to record an episode for you guys. Welcome to episode 57. Wait. Yes, this is episode 57. It's mostly going to be the Nosferatu episode, but other shit came out on Christmas Day. That, I guess, matters, but it's my world. Nosferatu matters to me. And, yeah, I want to talk about it real bad.
You saw it on the big IMAX screen. Huh?
I sure as fuck did.
They were showing that on IMAX?
Yeah, Roy asked what I wanted to do for my birthday when we were in San Antonio, and I was like, for my birthday, I want to watch Nosferatu.
They went to the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know it was going there. I wish I would have kind of saw it on that.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Yeah, so that was awesome. We were like literally very center, and it was freezing cold in there. I want to say I am very proud of myself because I did not get vertigo. Those steps are so steep.
It's very like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I get vertigo very, very easily, and that's why I don't go to the IMAX theater at the Science Spectrum or the Omni Theater. That's what it is. But no, I did a very good job, and I had a very, very good time. I loved it. Yeah, I feel like I had been talking about this movie all last year, and you can probably quote me, but I was probably like, I don't give a fuck if it's ass. I'm gonna love it. Blah, blah, blah. And yeah, no, I liked it. I think. Oh yeah, I'll get y'all's opinions, and I'll kind of tell y'all my issues with it.
I've seen it twice already.
Oh my god, I want to see it twice. I'm jealous.
I've seen it twice. I enjoyed it both times, but I felt very different both times I saw it. Mm-hmm. I explained to Jen on the conversation pit. I think when I saw it the first time, I was kind of in my feels, you know, dealing with stuff with girls.
Yeah,
and yeah, I think it.
Did you think Ellen was a slut? Is that why?
No,
were you like this fucking bitch?
No, I think it was more of
go get that old dick.
I think it's like more of like personal experience, like I mean, that's what movies do.
Are you a Thomas or a Nosferatu?
And like which side I'm on?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm kind of
continue.
Anyways, but I'll explain it because the first time I saw it, you know, because that's what movies do. They bring out emotions, like, you know, sometimes it brings out personal experiences and everything like that. But I told Jen, I was like, I think that's the true horror is, you know, you're desperate, you're trying to do everything for the woman you love, and it's still not good enough. You know,
yeah.
I think it was.
Was he really trying to do everything for the woman he loves, or was he trying to keep up with appearances? Because she stated several times she didn't care.
Well, you gotta think. I'm sure back then, I'm sure the way he looked at it was like, whatever you say, woman. Like, I'm sure that's the way, you know, like, right. No, but you know what I mean? Like, it was that time where, like, what the man, I mean, I'm not relating to that, but I'm just saying.
A young, aspiring career guy.
But not even just that. I think it was just more of, yeah, even though she said not to go, you know, I mean, it was a long journey. Traveling back then was rough, but I think it was just more of like the sacrifice, like the man has to take for a better life. That's how I took it as. Not so much like whatever you say, woman, but
no, you said what you said.
No, whatever. Okay. Anyways, but I think just like that was the true horror for me. It was just like, you know, you could be with a girl, but your love's never going to be good enough because she's under this love spell of like someone else. That's how I felt the first time. The second time I watched it, I enjoyed it a lot more. I think I appreciate it more for its beauty and the story itself. I mean, because we all know, you know, it. I think personally, this is the best Dracula version we've ever gotten. That's how I view it. Yeah. I do love Bram Stoker's Dracula as well, but this was just a different take on it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed everything from his Count Orlok's look, the settings, of course. It is still being set in Germany based off the original. I mean, that's mainly what I enjoy about it. Also love Lily Rose Depp. I really think she stole the show as well. Yeah. But Willem Dafoe, man,
yeah,
I love the show Willem Dafoe. But
so funny.
But yeah, that's kind of my take on it. I mean, what did y'all think overall?
I liked it a lot. It's kind of like I have this thing with Eggers where I have mixed feelings about his movies.
That's
at
where I'm
first,
sitting at.
and then I stew on them for a while, and I appreciate them for the masterpiece they are. But I always sometimes feel like I'm lacking something in them, and that's like I love The Witch, but The Witch is like it could be just 5% more scarier,
Yeah.
and I feel it could be more impactful. I love The Northman. To me, it's lacking something else in it to make it a truly great masterpiece. This movie's been remade so many times, and this is a very true, more faithful adaptation than the previous one. And I don't want to compare it to Bram Stoker's. I like them both for different things, but this one it could have just had an extra 10% sprinkled on it to make it actually scary. Instead of me now just thinking about the horror of relationship drama, I don't really think about the monster or the castle that much or anything. I think about like kind of what you said, but I mean, it's still great. It's still great for I call this like almost like classic cinema vibes too. To see people that usually don't like movies like this praising it on that, I'm glad it's broadening the scope of that. But again, with Eggers, I'm just gonna sit here and wonder why I don't give this movie 100%, and now I give it like an 85 to 90, and I can't pinpoint what it is.
So where I sit with it, okay, I was talking to Edward Marin, shout out you, but he was kind of telling me it felt kind of empty, and I agree. And I think that's kind of my issue with like Eggers movies is like he kicks so much ass at setting a scene and really being historically accurate. Like he sets up everything so well, but his storytelling is almost a little empty.
Bluntness.
Is that what it is?
It's like abrasive, but at the same time, there's no. It's like
It's not fluffed enough.
It's a picture of a fire and no heat.
Okay.
There you go.
So, that's actually a perfect way to put it because, I mean, we all know, Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula is like one of my favorite films of all time. Even one of my favorite vampire films in
That's
general.
lush. It's a lush movie, right?
But it's so full. It's so full, and there's so much story going on the entire time. And I mean, I was eating it up when I watched Nosferatu because I was so eager to watch it. But I know the second watch, it'll probably drag a little bit for me because I'm looking forward to certain parts. But it was still a great movie because, it's the set design, the lighting, Skarsgård, his voice, the work he put into it. It was almost like hearing like an opera singer. You know what I mean? Like it was terrifying in those ways. His wheezes and stuff like that. Even like Lily Rose Depp, like her physical acting, like the physicality of it, like that shit looks scary. But where it lost me is the runtime. This movie sits, I think, like at 212 or 220. But I feel like as simple as the Nosferatu story is, it works because it's such a lean story. So the way Robert Eggers did it works, right? Because it's so empty, it's so simple. There's really not much you can do to add to it to fluff it. But what makes Dracula so cool is there's scenes in the asylum. There's scenes, like more extended scenes with Lucy going into her illness. You know what I mean? So I kind of wanted to see that with Ellen's friend a little bit. I wanted to see her really descend into madness. Or Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. We really could have seen a lot more of that nosedive. And like, it's like all of a sudden he was sick.
He gave us what we knew and didn't give us more of like what
and that's
we,
what I'm saying. Like the story's lean enough where the story just is what it is. It's not like, if you change it, it would have kind of not really hit the same. You know what I mean? But in that same sense, there was more to be discussed in order for certain things to have harder impact. You know what I mean? Like I feel like with like that one scene where he fucks his dead wife or whatever because he loves her so much, like that wasn't really comprehended a lot because it was just kind of like, oh, I'm obsessed with my wife. I love my wife so much, and then she's dead, and then they find them. You know what I mean? Like that. And it wasn't really this like descent into like his madness or his thinking or whatever. Or even like William Dafoe. He had a great role, but I feel like there weren't enough scenes with him. You know what I mean? And he's this Van Helsing character. Like, he is the Van Helsing in the film. You know what I mean? So
Anthony Hopkins hammed it up so much.
Right?
In
You
Bram
know what I mean? Like,
Stoker's.
he was such a huge... Like, that was when it was like, oh, shit, this is a vampire movie now. Like, it's shit's gonna get real. You know what I mean? Or even, like, when they're looking for the coffins and, you know, like, searching through the dirts and stuff like that. I wish they would have done a little bit more on the Demeter. But yeah, I know I loved it, but it was empty in those aspects. But I didn't really see it as a horror movie, and I don't think this is a horror movie.
It really is not.
And
No.
to me, this is a gothic romance.
Yeah.
Through and through. And I think that's kind of where it gets misinterpreted and where it's kind of getting mixed reviews is people see a vampire film and they want to be terrified. But the thing is, it's just like, if we're really looking at old lore and like if it's Eggers literally did this so true to theme that he made a Victorian Gothic film,
Yeah.
which I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was beautiful. So it's like with the whole Thomas, Ellen, and Orlok triangle or whatever, like it was, I don't know how deep y'all have been getting into this, but have y'all been reading the screenplay as it's been getting released?
No, I haven't.
So the way Eggers wrote the screenplay, it's literally, it is written like a novel almost. And so it gives a lot of context into like the opening scene where she's calling, to this thing. And it's essentially like, I think she's called like an enchantress or whatever. And so she's literally summoning love as a teenage girl, begging for love, begging for something to hear her. And she accidentally calls off to a demon. You know what I mean? And, but yeah, so I see what you're saying with the whole Thomas thing, but I really feel like, I don't want to say he brought it onto himself, but in a sense, he was going to lose either way, right? Because Ellen was cursed, and this curse was going to play out through time, however long it took Orlok to get to her. But there were so many moments that he had to avoid this happening.
Yeah.
He wanted to impress his friend who is Aaron. I keep blanking on Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. But he was so obsessed with wanting to be on that level of this rich man, right? And so he wanted a house like him. He wanted a family like him. He wanted money and finances like him. And Ellen would state that she didn't care if he had riches or not. He didn't care. He wanted to get the job. She begged him not to take this journey. She begged him that she was having nightmares, that she was having, there's omens around this. And you say he had to do what he had to do, but he was trying to make an impression. He was trying to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he took his ass where he was supposed to, which was Orlok's castle, and you know what happened.
Yeah.
And then on the way back, I mean, of course, Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, that has a lot of issues too, because he's got this jealousy of Thomas where Thomas has this love and he's working and to him, Thomas is doing the man job of taking this journey, to do the work that needs to be done because he inherited all his riches. But then throughout the movie, he flexes his riches on people.
Yeah.
He flexes it on Ellen whenever she gets on to him about, her best friend being sick or whatever. And he's like, I paid for these doctors. I paid for this. And, and she's upset that he had her like constricted and tied down to a bed. And he's like, I paid for doctors to take care of you. You know what I mean? And so I really feel like everybody got what they deserved.
Yeah.
I know Thomas was like the most bold, and he really was like the last one standing.
I mean, he really was a distraction. I mean,
and he wasn't a distraction though. He was the thing that technically broke Orlok's like hold on her.
Yeah.
Her love for him broke that like melancholy that she was having. But once he took that job and he made that journey, those visions and delusions started coming back because essentially he was able to break that bond and really get in her head.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I really feel like I fucking love the movie, but yeah, I guess I interpret it differently, and maybe it's just
She's like, "Don't go," and then he says, "Okay," and then next thing you see is directed by Robert Eggers.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But it's like he had plenty of opportunity. Like all these characters have all these flaws in them. You know what I mean?
But
I really feel like he had so many chances to not, and it's like his ultimate lesson is like losing everything. Essentially,
the first time I watched it, I think it kind of got me feeling down because like you watch the OG one, the 1922 one, and the 70s one, which is also great. Because in those movies, it's like he's coming for her, the plague happens, and then when he gets to her, that's when the sun comes out, and then the curse is broken, and they live happily ever after. And I guess in some ways I thought it was going to be like that in this one, and then it doesn't happen, and she dies, and that really like it hurt me. Because even with Thomas, he's like, yeah, however he is, if he was stubborn or all that, like
He was helpless. He couldn't.
yeah, it was that. But at the same time, I was like, I feel bad for him.
Yeah. A rich man came and took everything from him.
I mean, yeah, she had to do what she had to do to save her village. But, now he doesn't have anything. He has his friend anymore. He doesn't have his wife.
Yeah.
Bet you won't do that shit again, Thomas. Bet you won't go away.
I don't know.
Then again, it's like whoever she ended up with, that person was going to suffer that ending anyways.
Yeah.
So.
Because it was a curse, and that's kind of like why, like Roy was so stuck on, like, she's a whore. And I'm like, she was a teenage girl that called for love, as most teenage girls do. Didn't know that she was an enchantress, or that she was not of humankind. You know what I mean? And gets hurt by the wrong thing, agrees when she's a teenage girl, essentially signing her life over to this demon. I'm like, why are y'all surprised that this demonic entity did what demonic entities do and preyed on a teenage girl and took her?
Did y'all know the OG Nosferatu? Because that ending scene when the sun comes up and he just disappears, that's the first time we ever get like the lore of like a vampire could die in sunlight.
Yeah, and I think that was what was kind of cool. And I kind of read this as like Eggers kind of touched base on like the folklore aspect and like the religious aspect of it, and then kind of like the modern aspect of he'll die in sunlight. You know what I mean? But it's almost like I kind of saw like reviews and stuff that were like, this is fucking stupid. Like they could have found him, they could have killed him during the day or whatever. And it's like, bitch, nobody knew that vampires died in the sun. Nobody knew you had to stab him in the heart. This was like folklore from like the Carpathian, forest. You know what I mean? And that's we kind of see that when those nuns kind of take Thomas in and pray over him and beg him not to go any further. This fool had so many chances. I'm pissing myself off again. He went through two fucking villages, a village, a convent, his woman.
Yeah. Yep. Couldn't let his boss
down. Even William Dafoe's ass fucking knew. Yeah. And I thought that was kind of like bittersweet. Like William Dafoe and Ellen, like their like last interaction, it's almost like they knew what had to be done. It was almost like a sealing of fate.
Watching it the second time,
and he let it happen.
Watching it the second time, I really enjoyed that scene because it was like, they both knew what had to be done.
It kind of made sense, and I think
she had to sacrifice herself.
I feel like that's kind of thing with like Eggers movies, and I think I told you this. Like, I need to watch it a second time because I don't think I really understood a lot of like Defoe's like important quotes, because he had some great lines, but you kind of have to like, this fool like writes his movies like in Old English essentially, so you have to like comprehend them. Like The Witch
took me 3 times to understand that movie
when I watched it in theaters, but it took me like 2 or 3 streamings on TV to be like, oh, that's terrifying, that's really good, you know what I mean? And there's so many different like underlying tones to it. But as far as his movies go, I think The Northman is his best. I think Nosferatu is his second best.
I still haven't seen The Northman yet.
I like The Northman. I want to say it might be on Prime.
That's the only
Peacock.
one I hadn't seen.
It might be on Peacock, actually.
Okay. So Count Orlok's look, what did y'all think?
I personally liked it. I know people are weirded out by the mustache and they think it's goofy.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool that we finally got a vampire that somewhat resembles Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah.
I thought his clothes were cool. I kind of had gotten a hint that he was going to have some type of that look because when leading up to the film release, there were like wardrobe reveals, you know, of like Ellen and Orlok or whatever. But Orlok's big ass coat, but he had this hat. Yeah. This hat that is like very well known in the Vlad the Impaler paintings. But I never saw him wear it unless he wore it in that very first frame when Thomas gets to the castle. If that's what maybe I saw.
Yeah, he wears the hat.
I just didn't see it throughout the movie.
I feel like
that first frame.
The mustache, like you never truly see his full face until the very end.
Yes.
And I did like the mustache, I could see why people didn't like it, but I'm like, no, like even when you see his face,
just accurate.
It's still like disguising
gaunt.
behind it. And again, it lose like, oh, I saw his face, but I really don't know what he really looks like. And I feel like that helped. Like it was just like another disguise, like he was behind. I did like that. I don't
know how this translated in theaters because y'all watched it in the basic theater. No, I'm just kidding. This is my first time watching anything on IMAX. So I didn't know how to act, but like. The scene where they're signing the contract when Thomas is like truly, it's his first interaction with him, and like it's the same shot. It's the same long shot, but it's almost like the candlelight kind of reveals his face
Yeah.
a little bit more. That was the coolest
Yeah.
fucking shit to me. That was so cool. And my favorite scene that I cannot get out of my head, and I specifically cannot get the hooves out of my head, was that
The
scene,
carriage coming
scene.
through.
That was the hardest shit I've ever
Yeah.
seen in my fucking life. I need that scene of the mountains, the carriage, and the castle. I need that shit in my house somewhere.
That's
I need it on a
it
tapestry.
reminds me of that Dissection album cover where it's like that black carriage with the
I
black
was like
horses
thinking like
coming.
I was like King Diamond type shit.
Yeah, that's
like,
what it looks like to me. That scene,
like, yeah.
that one's my favorite. The scene on like the Dementor boat or whatever that they were on was cool.
God, that was so cool.
The scene where they're going up and down the canal, like to his house, was so fucking pretty. The establishing shots of like their house, or just like that big zoom in of their house, and then the one of the swooping in shot of when he's going to the castle was so fucking beautiful.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
so I heard that he had wanted to film it in Transylvania, but it was too expensive, so they did it in the Czech Republic. But they said they still went to Transylvania. Like that's the actual Vlad the Impaler's castle
But they shot in.
that they shot for like in the where the carriage is going in.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of one of those things of like, that's necessary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, especially to pull off a shot like that and to tell the story like he's trying to tell. I feel like that was a very necessary thing to do.
This is what it reminded me of. Dissection
See,
album.
that's hard.
That's exactly what it reminded me of.
So
And see, I'm thinking about like the Arrival album by King Diamond.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
So it's like the one with the purple one is, or them. I don't know. Anyways.
So there was some pictures that were released behind the scenes, and Bill Skarsgård is in like makeup of the original Orlok look. I don't know if they just did it just to like for funsies, I guess.
It could. So I mean, so this movie is 2:12. The director's cut is 3 hours. So
Okay.
once that drops, I'm sure we'll see maybe
Yeah.
a fuller movie. I don't know.
Maybe
that
that'll
might
give
just
us
be a
what we were
dragging-ass
lacking
movie.
out of this, like
Yeah.
what we wanted out of it.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be long, but yeah, I would sit through a 3-hour Nosferatu. Fuck it.
Yeah, because the original look, Max Schreck, the actor who played him, Orlok. Sorry.
Yeah.
He created that by himself. Like they said that he would do his makeup before showing up, and he would just show up. Like there was always like these rumors that he was actually
Look like that.
and he wouldn't break character at
Damn.
all. Yeah.
So, I was gonna. Speaking of that look, what I haven't seen it yet, and I don't even know if it's out on any streaming services. I have only seen the preview for it, and it's bad timing. What do y'all think about the other Nosferatu remake that's coming out?
Directed
There is-
by who?
There's another one coming out.
Sis is
Aren't they doing another Dracula?
fake
right?
cinephiles. I'm just
No,
kidding.
no, there's another Dracula coming out or something, right?
Well, Frankenstein's coming out by
Okay.
Guillermo del Toro this year. Mia
just-
Goth, Jacob Elordi is playing the monster, but Doug Jones, Shape of Water. I believe he's been in Hellboy. He's also played that one guy from Hocus Pocus, Billy. Count Orlok. He's playing Count Orlok.
That I saw like posted on 4chan today, and there was like
Okay, so
already
it's
still
on
shots
Reddit.
of it.
It's on Reddit. So this has been a 10-year project, fan-funded, crowd-funded also. But yeah, they just released the trailer for it. Yes, it looks Tubi quality. I don't want to fucking hear it. I don't want to fucking hear shit. But, because it's crowdfunded. But it is, I want to say like if I remember this interview I heard from Doug Jones, I was listening to a podcast a couple months ago, and he was a guest on there. But it's essentially like a shot-for-shot remake
Okay.
of the original.
Okay.
Okay.
But Doug Jones said that he did a lot of work. Like, essentially, like, he was so obsessed with the original, he felt like an emotional connection to Orlok, and he was like, this is my opportunity to give Count Orlok new expressions of emotions versus just being this, like, creeping monster. So I'm really excited to kind of see how he
Okay.
transforms him in a sense. But yeah, the trailer's on Reddit. On YouTube.
Nice.
I'll have to go check that out tonight. Like
Yeah.
that's
I don't know if it's
Have-
out. I don't know if it's out. There's a Nosferatu in color on Amazon Prime, and it looks like Doug Jones's face, but I don't know. You know how
That's
Prime is
it, yeah.
sometimes. You know, sometimes Prime will kind of have like a weird cover.
Yeah.
And then it's like you know.
They do that for bad movies. Like, oh, that's an interesting cover, and the movie's shit. And you're like, oh, that's where the budget
and so
went.
that's kind of where I didn't know if it was just if it was the original just color graded. You know what I mean? Because they do that sometimes, or I didn't know if it was like Doug Jones's version. I'll get back to y'all.
Have y'all ever seen the 70s version?
You've told me about it.
Yeah, I actually like this because it was Werner Hogs, whatever.
Werner Herzog's movie,
whatever his name is.
1979, I believe, is when it came out.
That's a good one. I watched that one during the peak of the pandemic, and that hit a little different. Yeah, so. But yeah, there's a lot of parallels you can make with this movie with the recent pandemic we had. Just like, you know, because it was funny because I watched it with my brher, and they're like, quarantine him, and I did the Leonardo DiCaprio point at the TV.
One of the biggest, and someone kind of pointed. I usually don't take in like remarks or reviews before I go watch something. I let it wash over me. But someone, shout out my friend Trent. He pointed out Aaron Taylor Johnson's acting in this, and this is as a Aaron Taylor Johnson fan. I really do love Aaron Taylor Johnson, but for some reason, to me, he was acting so. Lily Rose Depp, there was some delivery of lines I noticed from her that seemed very playwrighty, very
like Shakespeare.
Yeah, very, very
shit.
Shakespearean.
Like she was like I gotta put my whole ass.
It works in context sometimes with certain scenes, but then you have Nicholas Hoult just acting, not Shakespearean, just acting. So it's weird to see Shakespearean acting next to just like camera acting. Aaron Taylor Johnson to me was in a different movie acting like a Shakespeare.
Overacted
he was, I'm an English guy. And you're just like, man, like just you are English. You don't got to prove it to me. Let's just turn it down just like a little bit.
Yeah.
Like,
so I will say that with Lily Rose Depp, I think physically fucking kicked ass. But I remember kind of seeing that. It was almost like Johnny Depp's daughter's acting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could kind of see it in that way.
Yeah.
But physically, some of these scenes were insane.
Great.
Yeah, like just
I would say an
movements.
inconsistency on delivery sometimes is what threw me off. And I know that's not on her, that's on the director. Because again, I don't care how many takes you take, you should be able to like, okay, if she's gonna act like that in one scene, I want her to act like that the rest of the movie. Don't talk to me like a real person and then act like you're in a Shakespeare play.
And it was kind of weird because I feel like going back to like the 90s Francis Ford Coppola version, we've got Mina and we've got what's her name? The other one. I just said her name earlier. Lucy, right? I feel like in this film, Ellen was kind of a cocktail of both.
Okay.
But at times she was just a girl. Like she really was just like a girl. And then other times she was this like super dramatic
Victorian and like
speaking in riddles type shit. You know what I mean? But that also could have been maybe a testament to like her illness. You know what I mean? Because she kind of was bipolar. Like
putting on a facade.
She was literally drooling and seizing, and then she was on freak shit like a minute later in that one scene with Thomas. But yeah, I did notice that. And Aaron Taylor Johnson, I think I was talking about this Friday. It's like, yeah, I kind of feel like he overacted, or he was just very strong with it. And I think I told you, like, I feel like he saw that 90s movie and was like, this is my big break.
And you'll hear his
it.
accent break sometimes, and you're like, hey, like Leonardo thing, I'm like, hey, if you're gonna overact, be fucking consistent with it, dude.
I will say this, Nicholas Hoult, what an angel.
Yeah.
I love him, and I really love all the press he's been doing for this. I cannot believe they almost gave this shit to Harry Styles.
Yeah.
Really?
Harry Styles.
There's no way he would be able to carry this at all.
Originally, Mads Mikkelsen, is that his name? From Lord of the Rings? Is that his name?
I'm not sure,
Mads
to be honest.
Mikkelsen. He's been in other movies. Anyways, 10 years ago when this movie was going to happen, he was going to play Orlok.
Okay.
Skarsgård was going to play Thomas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Down the line.
Damn, I would have loved to have seen that.
Wouldn't that have been crazy? Yeah. That would have been an insane
I'm wondering if...
that would have been hot. Down the line, he had a drop. They put Skarsgård in. They put Harry Styles in Thomas's role, and then I think for some reason he couldn't do it, and so they put Nicholas Hoult, which honestly was, I think of all the performances besides Skarsgård. I mean, Dafoe, yes, he's great, but
it's not even Skarsgård.
It's common sense that Defoe's going to kick ass, right? You know what I mean? It's common sense that Skarsgård's going to kick ass. I think this was Nicholas Holt's like his breakout year, but this was the role where he's going to be in some serious.
This is him becoming. So he's had the lead problem for a while, where he's always been co-lead in other movies because
And he's always kind of goofy. That's
why he has to do it, because they said he can't carry projects alone by himself. But we had The Juror this year. I love that. And then this movie proved to me like, hey, this guy has leading man roles where he can take the film with him. Like, I was stoked to see him do this movie.
Yeah, and so I feel like of all the performances, his was my favorite. His was the standout. I mean, it's like I said, Defoe's always going to be great.
He knew the material and he was like, yeah, I got this.
Yeah, he's pretty much just like...
He is a kooky old guy.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's why I thought it was funny, because the whole time he's just like, with his little gap in his teeth the whole time, just smiling, looking crazy.
Because I remember when they announced this way back when, and the first name that they dropped was Anya Taylor-Joy was supposed to do it. She dropped out because she ended up doing Furiosa.
She was supposed to do it too.
I heard it was the booby scene. She did not want to show nudity in this movie.
She doesn't do nudity in anything, does she?
No,
I think it was
but there's
the Northman, right?
maybe in the director's cut we'll see, but there's only like one small shot of breast in this movie from Lily Rose Depp. But apparently, what she said to Eggers is like, I'm not going to do nudity in this, so that's why he passed on her. That's what I heard.
But when they announced it, they announced that Willem Dafoe was going to be in it. So I'm wondering if there was a time where Willem Dafoe was supposed to be Count Orlok.
Yeah,
because
until Skarsgård came around.
I don't think I could ever see that.
Because I've told Jen about this, but have you ever heard of Shadow of a Vampire?
Yes, is that the mockumentary one or whatever?
So it's technically it's the behind the scenes of the original Nosferatu,
and it's a real vampire, right?
So Willem Dafoe plays Max Schreck, who's the actor, but he's like actually a real actor. But he falls in love with the actress, and so it's technically it's like they're filming the movie while they're using the actress as prey. Yeah. So I had thought Willem Dafoe was going to come back and play.
You need to watch that.
Of all my digging, I didn't see anything like that. I think that's kind of why I'm like, I don't think I ever saw it going that direction. I really feel like he wanted, I don't know, like Eggers was looking for, I don't know, like a certain
Willem Dafoe's little house
of a man.
was so cute, by the way. His little nook in the little alleyway.
His little sleeping hat, his little honk shoe hat.
That scene, by the way, when Aaron Taylor and Thomas go to his little house, there's a weird shot in there. I don't know if Aaron Taylor had a boner or what, but he had his pants and he turns to the camera and you just see like his entire package right there in his little jeans, like right in display of the camera and like the candlelight, and it's very distracting for like 1 second.
Boner by candlelight.
Yeah, you're like, all right, Aaron Taylor.
Like how would you address that back then? Like,
yeah, I just saw that like the candlelight. I was just like, all right, Eggers, you could have took the camera. Okay, next time you
somebody
see
just takes the candle,
you'll notice it next time and be like, huh. Maybe wardrobe had a little malfunction.
Kind of off topic real quick, but have you ever seen Teen Wolf?
Like the
Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
At the very end, because they win the basketball game, there's like an extra who like takes his.
You can see.
You can see it. Yeah.
Jesus.
I need to rewatch that. Yeah. Have you seen that Shadow of a Vampire movie, by the way,
I've
Jen?
heard of it. No.
Okay, please watch it. It's a good watch.
Yeah.
It's a good watch. Ralph Ineson was in this. He was like the dad from The Witch.
Oh, okay.
Always a great English raspy voice to have around. I could see him playing like Orlok or something like that, just his voice and stuff. But I always love to see that guy.
Even just
and
like
stuff.
stature alone, it's a big motherfucker.
Yeah. He was great. The guy that went crazy in the asylum, his like old boss that went insane. That guy did a great job. I wanted
to see more of that.
Yeah,
like it was like
hopefully-
a Renfield type of character.
Yeah, hopefully not like Tom Waits style like they did in Bram Stoker's. That was too much for me. But hopefully in the director's cut we get to see more of that like slippery slope of him like delving into madness.
And maybe that's kind of what it is. It's just like
I think we're gonna get.
There were just details that were almost like maybe like in the final cut. It was like
they left all the horror
gist.
stuff in this cut. And they probably cut out the stuff that they could go without.
Like the story building. And stuff. And it's like I said, it's like the story just is what the story is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I feel like maybe they had to be that call too of like, we spent all this money on these actors. We need to get all these shots in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe like less storytelling of other minor actors,
one small thing, and I don't know if this was like a shout out to the Bram Stoker's one, but when he escapes from Orlok's castle and he jumps into the river, it's like a bad, weird CGI shot of like fog, castle wall, cliff, like this down. It's almost the same shot that you see in Bram Stoker's, and it looks like shit in that movie too. That was like my only thing was like, Is this a shout out or is this just like you just like being lazy or the editing room was like,
They
we don't gotta
probably
do
use
anything
AI.
here. Just do a vertical drop right there. Like I don't know.
I can imagine that conversation being the same as like right now, being like, you know, fuck it, they're gonna be fans, they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And be like,
Me as like
they'll
a
get
film
it.
snob, I saw that and I was like, is that like homage? Like, but you pick that one bad scene like in it when Orlok is standing there with his full coat and his both of his dogs next to him.
so
that shit
hard.
was so thug, bro. It looks
That was
so hard.
It was that, yeah, and I think that's the only scene that he had his little hat on.
Oh, man.
I do like that they never yassified him.
No.
I like that he stayed with the hole in the back of his head and like just scrawny and yeah. But,
That ending shot of him just as a corpse, just skinny
I
leg.
loved it. I loved with the lilacs and the
And I think too,
and the blood was still pumping out of his little holes. I heard that Robert Egger has said that they actually had his anus bleeding as well. There was a pump out of his ass, and they literally had to put a cork in it because it was not giving the same effect that all the other holes were giving. Yeah, but I've seen that stated in like 2 or 3 interviews from Eggers that
man.
he's like, no, everything was supposed to be bleeding, like all his orifices, because he was so full
Yeah.
from her blood. He was supposed to be leaking it, and his ass was leaking it, and they were like, that doesn't fit. So they like plugged it.
Bring back the ass cut.
Yeah, it's funny. That's the director's cut, just pumping. It's just like,
yeah. And another thing too about like with the vampire itself, like when you look at Bela Lugosi's like Dracula, like it was very like sensual, seductive, like the way he bites. You know, when then you go to Christopher Lee's Dracula, it was very like animalistic, like full,
Yeah.
like big.
that was the
fang.
Hammer horror era.
Yeah, and but like even like with this one, it still kind of touches the animalistic.
It's not
'Cause
sensual.
It's not on the neck.
No.
It's straight
When
from
he's
the
on
heart.
top
It
of
says
Holt.
kiss her heart.
Yeah.
When he's on top of Holt in the castle, when you see him feeding him and the music just cuts out and you just hear him sucking his blood and he's on him like a leech or like a rat. Like it's not sensual at all. He's just like on him like a virus.
Yeah.
That's a pretty
And I
haunting
thought
fucking
that's what I thought
image.
was really cool. Like a detail of it is like it, in a way, like this was like this like star-crossed romance, but at the end of the day, it's like he literally was like, I don't love you. I'm hungry. You know what I mean? Like it was
all he is hunger. That's what he says.
essentially this was just an extra effort to get the meal he wanted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he was a monster through and through. You know, I can talk about this movie all day.
I saw something that said if he had survived, like it just shows him walking out. It's like, where are you going? He's like, oh, all right, I gotta go.
Yeah, like I left my phone in the car.
Look at Uber.
You share horses. But yeah, no, this is awesome. If y'all haven't seen it, watch it. I don't know, it's great. If I don't know, just watch it. Don't hit me up if you didn't like it.
Please support it. Support Eggers. Like he's to me. Okay, I'm gonna get my little spill out about him. He reminds me of like Villeneuve or like even like almost Zack Snyder-esque. Visually, great guy, great eye. But as his career progresses, I think since he's getting bigger projects, he might need to have a co-directing with a better writer.
Is he the one that's doing the Odyssey?
No, that's
Christopher
Nolan.
Nolan. Okay.
And Nolan is a visual guy too that has failed, did great with story, and then also has done bad story, great visually. I made Kaylee watch Tenet the other day, and we still have no idea what's going on with that
I can't
movie.
do Tenet. I don't know.
I've seen
I
it.
still haven't seen it.
10
it gets
times.
so much praise, and I just can't.
There's no way. It still doesn't make sense to me, and I've like watched a million YouTube videos, and I had to rewatch it again. I'm
I
like,
think I've
nope.
seen like a kill count or
Don't-
like a review on it.
Doesn't
or
even
whatever.
still make sense, but he's one of those directors I'm so hopeful for. He's considering the new age
How
of
old
aut-
is he? He looks kind of young.
He's a younger guy.
Is he like in his 40s
I
or
think
earlier?
I want to
younger
say
than
he made
40s?
The Witch when he was like in his mid to late 20s, like
what I'm
27,
saying.
28. So he's probably now like mid 30s, almost early 40s.
Yeah.
He's part of the auteur directors that I'm really, really stoked about for the future. But at the same time, like I want him just like, okay, Dune 2 was great, but Dune 1 to me was boring as shit. But visually, it was pretty as fuck. And Blade Runner 2049, visually gorgeous. I thought it was boring as fuck. I don't want that to kind of happen to Edgar's career where he starts taking on these bigger projects and bigger roles because he's getting all this praise right now. I want him to hone in or maybe get a better co-director to like work with and stuff. That's like, I'm so stoked for this guy and I'm stoked to see what he's going to do in the future, but he's doing a new medieval piece coming up. Did you hear his new project that he got approved for? So he's doing like a dark medieval fairy tale. Of course, it's not the same vein of all of his movies, but that got greenlit once this is wrapped. So we're gonna get more medieval knight shit right out of him, right out of the gate.
I just like. That
I'm
kind
so
of
down
era,
for it too.
Like I love anything medieval. Like I ate the Green Knight up, even though it was kind of like mid. And it was such a cool. I was so excited for it.
Yeah,
but
Edgar said that he'll keep his movies like a period piece because he said
I think that's his thing. Like he's always kind of made.
He gets
them.
He said that he would die before having a shot with the iPhone in there.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
I call him gray. Like all of his movies are gray. They're bleak. Like I love that, but I do need a good story in there to make me care about it so much. And maybe that's why, like The Witch. Like again, I had to watch The Witch 3 times, and I didn't. It was
I hung on to The Witch just by subject alone.
Okay, so just right there, like I didn't really understand. I didn't like it at first, and then after the 3rd watch, I can listen to the dialogue and get in the dialect of it. Then I appreciated it a little bit more. But
no, because then you kind of catch in
then
like all these really foreshadowing, ominous little lines.
And that's what made me enjoy it way better.
Same with Nosferatu. Yeah, like it had those like little ominous lines where it was kind of like you knew like just it was over. It was over from the beginning. You know what I mean? But yeah, check it out.
Horny. The movie's horny, bro.
So in your eyes, we've talked about this before when it comes to vampire movies. Was this vampire movie sexy?
Yeah.
They made a decomposing corpse. Kind of cool.
Yeah, Roy was pretty grossed out with me because he was like, "For real, you would," and I was like,
his voice,
paint peels off.
His demeanor, like that. How do you make a decomposing corpse sound cool and look cool?
Besides the holes in the back of the head, he's still kind of hot.
Yeah,
I don't even like bald guys.
Just hearing that dude's voice, like if that dude was like on a radio, I'd be like, that dude probably looks pretty hot. Like,
have y'all seen the TikToks of people like mimicking him?
Yeah,
they're like, "Will you bounce on it, crazy style?"
Will you bounce on it?
Like, let me see it. Hold on. I promise we're not gonna.
Do you have the riz?
This shit was so funny.
Skibbity toilet.
Like, hold on.
Oh my god.
Must bounce on it.
Louise.
Crazy style.
Louise.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Anyways.
Don't yeah, I don't know. Don't be horny for rich old dudes in castles. It's probably not gonna end well. That's all I got.
I mean, don't be.
Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna tell you that. That might happen. I don't know.
I don't know. You pick me up in a carriage of horses, take me to the mountains. What am I gonna do?
If you got a girl like Lily Rose Depp, don't leave.
No, literally. I mean, I don't know. Got a big forehead, but beautiful. But yep. Thanks for checking out episode 57.
Lords of Film.
Yeah, you got to roll that R.
Lords of Film.
That's how I'll be sounding like lately.
And that's me right now. I'm cosplaying as Count Orlok. Okay, bye.
Love y'all.